up, my people? This is the first official episode of
I've made up my mind. Don't need to think it over. If I'm wrong, I am right. Don't need to look no further.
This is a recreation.
First one up is going to be back in 2011 when I went to Spain. I went twice. I went once in March and once in October. So if I'm looking down, it's just because I'm reading off of paper. There's so many things I have to talk about, major bullet points of things that I've learned. So I'm going to be expanding on each one. Let's get started. First up, nurture versus nature. Now, for me to expand on this, I have to go backtrack a little bit about my background. My father was in my life for about 10 years. When he finally came back around when I was 13, I'll get into that in another time, but basically I went in 2011 when I was 23, so it was about 10 years since I had seen him last. So I took the chance and I put my heart on my sleeve and went out there to try to get to know him and see get to know the other half of myself, the other part of myself, because I spent my whole life with my mother and basically have no real connection or even knowledge of my father's side of the family. So my grandparents I saw when I was about 10 years old, and then after that I didn't see them again because they live in another country, and obviously we're here now. So back to nature versus nurture. The reason why I feel like that's a lesson that I've learned through experience is because I never spent any time with my father, and we had almost everything and anything you could think of alike. The only difference is that we have generational differences, meaning that he grew up in a different time, but personality-wise, we had a lot of similarities. So nature versus nurture, I lean more towards nature because of my experience. I feel that having not had my father part of my life, I felt that after spending time with him, I felt that the nature part of that argument is very valid, because no matter, you get it. Didn't spend time with him, was just like him. So there you go. On to the next point. Now this next point, I pretty much got the term from a book I learned, or a book I read called The 4 Agreements. What I learned was not to take anything personal. That's one of the 4 agreements in that book, whether it be a negative or a positive. All right, on my trip, I found out or had the first signs of my gluten allergy. So learning after the fact, I didn't know at the time that I had a gluten allergy, but during that time that I was there, I had so many symptoms popping up, and I was tremendously sick. I got tremendously sick after my birthday, because my birthday's in October, and the night of my birthday we went out, and the day after I was done. So that was the first sign of my gluten allergy that I found out, and when I got back, I detoxed and everything's good now. So on to the next one. Now on my trip to Spain, that was the inspiration for a video I did called Checkers, or Chess Not Checkers. And the premise of that video was about thinking before you move, and that's what the inspiration for that video was, from my trip to Spain in 2011. One of the things that me and my father did was play chess, and he was way better than me. He has a very strategic mind, and that's one thing that I learned, to be more strategic and learn to plan ahead in my life. So that's one thing that I learned from that trip, and also from the game of chess. So yeah, on to the next one. Both trips served as closure for past events, meaning me and my father had a lot of turbulence in the beginning of our relationship, but I feel now that we've come into a place where we are building a relationship for the future, I hope.
Be the change you want to see. Be radically creative.
Burning bridges versus broken bridges. Burned bridges obviously cannot be repaired. Broken bridges can. So if you burn a bridge, meaning in whatever way that you can think of burning a bridge, meaning a relationship with someone else, it's very difficult to come back from that. But a broken bridge, usually broken bridges are because of lack of maintenance, lack of attention to detail, and it can be repaired. In hindsight, looking back, I can tell that during my trip there, I was being tested, and in my opinion, I feel that I failed the majority of the tests that I was put through because of, at the time, I was thinking more emotionally than logically, and I let my emotions get the best of me. Alright, my people, so that's a recap of my first Wrecking the World episode, Spain 2011. I hope that what I've learned was able to help you in some kind of way. If not, hopefully it entertained you. If not, then let me know down below what I can do better for the next time. Until then, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Be the change you want to see. Be radically creative.